The NFRN Amateur Cup Series has concluded its 12-race regular season, and now 12 drivers are vying for the title. Several drivers have won the season, several drivers have not, but we will see who is able to fight it out in this 1 1/3 mile track, Nashville Superspeedway in Lebanon, Tennessee. Hello again, everybody. I'm Colin Denton with RVN, and welcome to this first round of the NFRN Amateur Cup Series playoffs. Now, this is a very unique set of drivers that are vying for this title over the final 7 races. We have 2 drivers that were able to get multiple victories over the course of the season, something that none of the drivers in the Elite or Truck Series were able to do. We also have 4 open drivers: Connor Mays, Robert Harrison, Kenny Knox, Eric Van Arsdale, all drivers that didn't get victories throughout the season because of those multi-time winners and some part-time winners. In Elite, there were 3 drivers that got open spots in a 16-driver field, and in Trucks there were 2. So we have the most drivers here that are looking for their first victory. But with this set of drivers, you never know who's going to get on top. We're going to find out here tonight at Nashville who's going to be the one that claims the victory. Could it be a playoff driver or a non-playoff driver? Plenty of those in the field tonight, but someone's going to take home the trophy. We'll see if it advances someone to the next round. Let's take an aerial trip to our next race while the other 2 series are headed north from Nazareth to Canada. We are headed down to Tennessee, Lebanon, Tennessee that is, just a few miles to the east of Nashville, home to the Cracker Barrel headquarters, and this track hosted Xfinity, Truck, ARCA, and IndyCar events from 2001 to 2011. And while the NASCAR Cup Series will head there in 2021, the NFRN Amateur Cup Series is going to get it warmed up. Let's take a look at our part-time race. 14 of the best truck drivers trying to get into another Amateur Cup event. Jasper Riles leading the way after getting a good finish at Toronto Lakeshore, and he'll be able to propel himself out in front of Adam Kuhn. And here comes Jesse McConnell making an important pass on Tyler Reed to go for a position, and he's making it on the outside. That might play a big factor in tonight's race, utilizing that outside line in turns 1 and 2. But it's not going to be anyone to catch Jasper Riles, as he will lead the way to the start-finish line and claim the victory. Also moving on along with Riles is Clint McComb, moving up 4 spots. Dalton Wise, Adam Kuhn, Mike Simpson, and Jesse McConnell making that move to the outside of Tyler Reed, who dropped all the way back to 9th place. Ryan Parsons and Jim Fowler also able to get by him. Our Hot Seat Award will go to Eric Van Arsdale, a playoff driver, looking to see what he can do here in this first round. Did not make the Elite Cup playoffs last season, but he's in the top 12 this time around and has had some good finishes in recent weeks. Mirage 2, he got 4th place. Peoria got runner-up. Now going to see what he can do to get his first victory. And let's quickly look at the points as they come in. As we mentioned, 4 drivers do not have a victory on the season, and they will be starting below the playoff cut line, while Chris Harley and Kyle Law have another 3-point advantage over those that only got 1 win this season. So this is going to be a very tight battle. Points are very important, but the most important thing that these drivers are after is a victory, which could get them into the next round. Let's head down trackside. Time for our pre-race ceremonies.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome tonight's Grand Marshal from the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, 2018 Board-elect, Carla Schussler.
Drivers, start your engines.
The sweet sound of engines means it's time for the playoffs. Let's take a look at our full starting grid for tonight's race at Nashville. Craig Martin going to lead this one to the green. The first driver to miss out on the playoffs will lead this field in the 82 Kleenex Ford. And Jay Jefferson, a best finish of 8th this season. He'll be outside front row in the number 3 Rheem Chevrolet. With a couple of non-playoff drivers up front, it's playoff drivers in row 2. Shane Borland, our most recent winner, and Connor Mays, the top open playoff driver. Donnie Moore rounds out the top 5 in row 3, first winner of the series. Alexander Rowan is outside, earned his first top 5 at Nazareth. In row 4, we have the Pikes Peak runner-up, Griffin Lynn, and 3 top 10s in this series for Mike Simpson. Eagle Motorsport drivers start next to each other in row 5, Chase Baldwin and Kenny Knox, a playoff driver. In row 6, we have Jacob Rose, the RPG7 Motorsports driver with 2 top 5s over the past 5 races, and Noah Kim, no top 20s over the same time span. Joey Radcliffe, 27th in standings, starts place 13. Clint McComb, first-time qualifying in the 8 car on his outside. In row 8, we have Jake Thomas, both of his Speedway finishes falling outside of the top 35, and TJ Ball got his first top 5 at Nazareth. In row 9, TJ Smith, a best finish of 12th 3 times since his Columbia top 10, and Anthony Lopez, top 10s in both of the Speedway events so far. Rounding out the top 20, Robert Harrison, the only driver with top 5s in both Speedway races. He's a playoff driver as well. Ryan Kendall, a 4th place finish for him at Nazareth. Another playoff driver behind Harrison, Dwayne Calloway, has the top average finish at the intermediate tracks, And Andy Coleman, 3 top 10s in the last half of the regular season. In row 12, Ray Chapman, the second driver outside of a playoff spot, and part-timer Adam Kuhn got a top 10 in the truck race at Toronto Lakeshore. Dalton Wise making his third Amateur Cup Series start from row 13, Colin Lindsay to his outside, trying to rebound from a disappointing regular season. In row 14, Jasper Rouse, who finished 4th in his first start in the series at Peoria, and Kyle Bichelli, a runner-up at Nazareth. 2 more playoff drivers in row 15, Austin Rogers, the Peoria winner, and John Gilbert, a 17.5 average finish on the intermediate tracks. Making another playoff driver starting on the inside of row 16, Eric Van Arsdale, the Peoria runner-up. Jason Dale's on his outside, 2 top 10s over the past 3 races. Chris Harley looking to regain some early momentum, winning 2 races in the first 6 events. He starts place 33, 19-car fan on the outside of row 17, 21st in standings. The 3-seed in playoffs, Sparky the Sun Devil, he'll start on the inside of row 18 to the outside, Jack Freeman, 6 times. He's finished outside the top 30 this season. In row 19, the winner of the truck event at Toronto Lakeshore, Jesse McConnell, who also has a victory in this series this season, along with Al Calloway, 4 top 20s in a row for him. We've got a 2-time winner in row 20, Kyle Law. He's struggling on the intermediate tracks, though. He'll start deep in the field, along with Herjo Arvin Alonso, having similar struggles on this track type. And in the back row, AJ Jones, 16th in standings, and Justin Roadback, 3 top 20s this season. 42 cars gridded up on the field. Our playoff drivers scattered throughout. We might see a little parity today. Our NFRN streams are live. Go ahead and check out the NFRN channel. You can see the onboards of all our playoff drivers today and see how they get through the field. Pace car pulls off in turn 4, Martin and Jefferson at the front. We will see if that outside line plays a factor in this first lap. Can Martin get a good jump on the start to see if he can take the advantage? Green flag flies for the first round of the NFRN Amateur Cup Series playoffs. Side by side, going down the backstretch, Martin unable to clear Jefferson. Can he get down into the corner in turn 3? He's got him cleared. Now he just has to fade up and take the line. And it looks like he'll do that. So the 82 Ford out in front. He'll lead lap 1 and see if he can lead the rest of this way. See if he can go for his first win in the series. Connor Mays tucking in just behind Jay Jefferson and trying to get to the outside right away. He's way up there. And it might have cost him a little time trying to see what he could do. Testing it out a little bit. Obviously a lot of practice that went into this race, but they're trying to see what they can do to get around in traffic. And for these playoff drivers, they are looking to capitalize on their performance. 32 top 5s earned by the playoff drivers, 21 earned by the non-playoff drivers. And remember, that's a case of 12 drivers versus 24 drivers. And those 12 are really dominating in this series. They're taking advantage. We see the Western Motorsport teammates of Shane Borland and Donnie Moore lined up together, but they're on that inside line, and Mike Simpson's taking advantage of them. Turn 1 and 2 especially. And Kyle Law also on the inside line, along with Sparky the Sun Devil and Eric Van Arsdale, some more playoff competitors. But Law back here, the furthest back after having 2 victories on the season, and he had those a couple of races ago, but since then, finishes the 39th at Peoria, 34th at Nazareth. The momentum is not on his side, and right now that's really showing here at Nashville. He's going to have to get something together really fast, or else he's going to be in the hole to start off these playoffs. And Alexander Rowe looking up to the inside. In turns 3 and 4, that might work out, but we'll see. And we can see he's still on the quarter panel. We're working off the back of Connor Mays, and he is not going to be able to make that move happen. So as we mentioned, that outside line is definitely going to be preferred for all of these cars, trying to see what they can do to make their way up the field. Kenny Knox on the inside line. He's going to have to fade his way up in front of Clint McComb if he wants to get the fast line. Knox with a very interesting set of results, as you can see there on the graphic. No finishes between 8th and 21st. He is very much a driver that is all or nothing. Either he has a great day or a pretty subpar day. No decent days for him. And right now he's trying to work his way up the field. He's 4th currently on the playoff standings. Craig Martin still leading the way, though, out in front of Jefferson and Mays and holding down that outside line, trying to make sure that no one else can get ahead of him. Track position seeming like it's going to be important here, but obviously not the absolute end-all. There is going to be a little bit of passing, it's just a matter of can you get to the outside. And if you can set yourself up for a pass somewhere else, you might want to take that line. You see here Ray Chapman. He's been kind of under the radar this entire year. He got a nice top 10 at Nazareth, and he got up to 14th in standings, just a spot behind Craig Martin, who holds down the lead, but Chapman back here in traffic. He has a few top 10s on the season and a nice points position to show for it, but he's going to have a lot of work to get up to the front of the field. Dwayne Calloway hovering above the playoff cut line right now, and he's the driver that is the most dominant on this type of track. 4.0 average finish. He got the win at Pikes Peak, a 7th place at Peoria, but right now he has a little bit of work to do as he tries to get in front of John Gilbert, and he gets that outside line, and Gilbert tries to cut underneath them, and he's going to try to make a run into turn 1 and 2. Oh, and I think Calloway hit the wall a little bit. We'll see if that affects him. And Gilbert's down on the inside line. I think the 65 is going to come charging back on the outside. But Calloway got into the wall a little bit. We saw on the onboard with Gilbert. Doesn't look like it affected his car too much, though, as they battle side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Coming up on 8 laps complete in the race here at Nashville. Taking a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. If you're looking for some new things to fill up the closet, we've got just the thing for you. The NFRN just opening up their merchandise store as of our first Elite Cup playoff race. Link down in the description. Get yourself some NFRN merch. Plenty of options to choose from, whether it be clothing or accessories. Coming back into the race, we're about to complete 10 laps. You saw during our side-by-side coverage, Connor Mays takes advantage of Jay Jefferson down the inside, our outside pole sitter, and he's going to lose 3rd place to Alexander Rowe. You can see that outside line is definitely the advantage, especially down in turns 1 and 2. And we'll see if the 33 powers by the 3. It looks like he is going to get that spot. Jasper Wells in the 54 Toyota. Not having the greatest race right now, back in 32nd spot. But currently our NFRN Truck Series playoffs leader got a 4th place finish at Toronto Lakeshore. Trying to see if he can build off his 4th place run at Peoria earlier this season. 11 laps about to be in the books. Let's head to another quick commercial break so we can bring you as much of the end of this race under green as we can. About a third of the way through this race, Craig Martin continues to dominate up front. Connor Mays, a playoff driver, just behind him. Both drivers looking for their first win of the season, even though they are in different parts of the championship picture. 82 staying in front of the 84 and making sure that he doesn't go anywhere, especially on that outside line, which is really going to be preferred in turns 1 and 2. Let's take a look through our playoff grid as they run right now. We see the 84. Doesn't have any bonus points heading into this round, but running up in the 2nd position, trying to see what he can do to at least have a solid run. If he doesn't get the victory, he is still at the top of the standings as it runs right now. So this will be a great run for him no matter what. Just trying to get out of the habit of being 2nd place. He has 5 top 5s this season, 2 of them being runner-ups. He would like to see if he can put himself on the top step of the podium. Shane Borland, the next driver, back in the 5th position, our most recent winner at Nazareth, and putting up another solid showing here tonight. For the past 7 races, he has a worst finish of 23rd, so the runs have been improving for him. He had a little bit of a slump in the first half of the season, but right now he's really turning on the jets, especially where it matters most. And getting that victory and getting himself into the playoffs was very beneficial for him, trying to chase after a championship. Moving back to 8th place, we have Donnie Moore, his teammate. We've got 2 Western Motorsports drivers in the playoffs. Jason Dales, Jake Thomas did not make it, but Donnie Moore did, and Now they're running 2-3 in the standings, so a nice team effort for the drivers that are coming mostly out of the West Coast, or from Arizona and Orland from Oregon. Here's another West Coast driver, Kenny Knox from California, running for Eagle Motorsport. He's kept pace with his teammate who is not in the playoffs, although he's had a pretty rough season. But for Knox, he is trying to see what he can do to stay up front, and right now runs 4th in the playoff standings. He had a really tight squeeze getting into these playoffs, though. Did not have a victory coming in and had to battle with Craig Martin at Nazareth to try to maintain that spot. And he was able to come out with it, and right now he's taking advantage. Although Martin, if he had gotten that spot, he's in the lead and had the advantage going for him. Robert Harrison, 19th place for him right now, 5th in standings. He does very well at these speedways. He's the only driver to have 2 top 5s at these tracks. 4th at Pikes Peak, 5th at Peoria. Right now, not quite as good, but still time to take advantage of some cars, only about halfway through this race. We mentioned Dwayne Calloway earlier as a formidable contender. Also been very successful at these speedways and had the victory at Pikes Peak. His overall performance hasn't been quite on par with how he started the season with 3 straight top 10s. He's gotten a few top 10s since then, and they've both come in the past 4 races, but right now he's still trying to find that consistency to make sure he stays at the top. Right now still above the cut line, and he's got John Gilbert just behind him. After finishing runner-up to Kyle Law at Bump Draft in race number 8, he hasn't finished inside the top 20 since. It's a great opportunity for the 31 car to go after a second victory, but unable to achieve it, and now trying to see if he can keep himself afloat. He's not having the greatest of nights right now, but at least he is above the cut line, as is Chris Harley, who was considered a pretty big threat coming into this playoff chase. 2 victories on the season, add a couple of podium finishes. But those all came in the first half of the season, and just like Callaway, he has not been quite as strong in the back half of the season, so for him it's going to be a fight to survive. Try to see what we can do to gain some spots. Austin Rogers runs just behind him. 4 points behind, thanks to Harley having some bonus points. And Rogers, for him, he has the least top 10s among all these chasers, just 2 of them on the season, including his victory. Eric Van Arsdale, driver with no wins, so he's at an even deeper disadvantage. In fact, he is still behind Kyle Wall, who's 2 spots behind him, just because he doesn't have those bonus points to fall back on. Just really giving a little bit of an advantage to Harley and Wall, being able to take advantage of those guys that aren't quite up there right now. And we see now a little bit of strategy. Connor Mays and Shane Borland coming down the pit lane. And they're going to have a few followers behind them, but not the entire field. So they're going to keep Craig Martin and a few others up there at the front, out for another lap, while the 84 comes in, as well as the 60 and the 23. We were mentioning Kyle Law. He needs to get up a few positions to make sure he's safe this round, and he looks like he's going to try something different. Mays comes in, so does Shane Borland, and they are all going for 4 tires, we're hearing. This should be the only stop of the race, as we are past halfway. And here comes the rest of the field. Craig Martin in, and it just seems like everyone has come down at the same time, and that's going to cause a little bit of a stack up as we see Sparky the Sun Devil at the rear of the field. He has to battle through all of this traffic to get to his pit stall. The last of our playoff drivers we haven't mentioned yet, and he was running deep in the field. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge for him to gain positions, especially when you're caught up in traffic like that. That's going to hold you up a little bit. Connor Mays is going to soar off the pit lane. He has a big advantage. Shane Borland was not that far behind him, but now he is nowhere in sight. You see Craig Martin's into his stall for service. But Mays has a big advantage over the people that he pitted with. Martin's going to pull out right here. And Alexander Rowe coming by him, and he's going to beat him off pit lane. So Martin's not going to come out with the advantage. Alexander Rowe does, but here comes Connor Mays, pitting 1 lap early without the traffic, and he is going to take advantage. The fresh rubber is going to do him well. So Craig Martin loses his grip hold on the lead, and he's going to get past him a little bit more. TJ Smith and Colin Lindsay, who also pitted that last lap, they are going to charge up to the front. And Martin's just trying to hold on, see if he can keep John Gilbert and Mike Simpson behind him. Gilbert right there, and here comes Shane Borland up the outside. Borland lost a little bit of time, it seemed like, on pit lane, but now on the outside line, trying to see if he can get some of those positions back and try to get past Martin. What a big run for Connor May. He's going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back for the conclusion of this race. Back at Nashville for the conclusion of the first round of the NFRN Amateur Cup Series chase. A couple of updates. Eric Van Arsdale had a very slow stop, and he is back in the 41st position. He can see some competitors in front of him, but he has really fallen off pace. It looks like he can keep up with them, but he can't catch up to them. Just something went wrong on that pit stop that kept him in there for a couple more seconds. And now he has a big challenge to make up time in these final 12 laps. And we also had a penalty for Joey Radcliffe. He had a timed penalty in his pit stall, and it looks like it had to do with the entry. You see here he's coming in right now, and it looks like he has all four tires in the grass as they hit the commitment cone. So that appears to be the reason why the 53 is now a lap down. He's in the last position, mixed in with the traffic that is on the lead lap. So a big mistake there for Radcliffe and the 53 team. Meanwhile, taking a look at the playoff picture, remember Kyle Law being behind the cut line? He is now 25 points ahead. He came down on the first set of pit stops, and he has passed up so many cars. It's incredible what kind of advantage those guys got from the drivers that I guess got caught up in traffic as they were entering pit lane, all coming down at the same time. And that has really played into some new guys' hands. You've got a few of those drivers that went the second time that are still up there, but it's mostly those that were already up there, like Craig Martin. We see Colin Lindsay here in 4th position, took that first pit stop, and we've documented how bad of a season it's been for him, the runner-up in the first season of the Elite Cup Series. And he's only had one opportunity to go for a win. That came at Van Zandt, and he was unable to get by Clint McComb due to damage incurred in an accident early in the race. That's his only top 10 on the season, but right now has another opportunity to go up there and get a good finish. Connor Mace is really checked out on those guys. You can see from the back of his car the gap he has on Alexander Rowe. But what we understand is the gap is closing. I don't know if that's because of a draft that's occurring, but Mace does not have the fastest car on the racetrack right now, and he has an opportunity to fall back a little bit. We see TJ Smith, another driver, taking advantage of the early pit stop. Most laps completed in this series for him. Only missed 2 laps, has no DNFs. This is going to be a great run for a driver that doesn't have a top 5 this season. We see Craig Martin trying to stay on the inside of Colin Lindsay, but that outside line is really going to affect him in turns 1 and 2. Lindsay should have the edge, and Shane Borland might try to take advantage. Keeping on that outside line. It's not quite as strong down in turns 3 and 4, but they can certainly get the run. Oh, but it looks like Martin actually might have enough clearance there, and he might stay in that line. Still looking for a top 5 run, even though he lost the lead. Chris Harley, as we mentioned earlier, he was not doing terribly great, but right now he is back behind the playoff cut line, and we mentioned how the back half of the season hasn't been quite as great for him. 5 top 10s in the first 6 races of the season, 1 since then. Dwayne Calloway also behind the 8 ball, getting challenged by Ray Chapman, although that just shouldn't work in turns 1 and 2. But he is still behind the playoff cut line, and it looks like Sparky the Sun Devil in front of him. He was the last car to come in, but he's still beating a few guys out. And he's trying to stay in contention. He's tied right now at the cut line with Robert Harrison, who doesn't have a win this season. Kyle Bachelia also back here, and he had a great run at Nazareth, runner-up for him. And that well exceeded his best finish going into that race, and it's a Shame to see that he's not able to maintain that momentum. Borland once again looking to the outside. Can't quite get to Martin's door, but now we see Mike Simpson trying something at the inside. John Gilbert's following him as Jason Thales trying to work the outside. He might get by Gilbert if he's not careful. But Borland is going to power by Simpson. Should maintain his position. You see Donnie Moore. He's worked himself into a nice little gap, looking on board of him, and he's trying to get past Herjolf and Alonso. And he's right there against the back bumper. Just a matter of does he make a move one direction or the other, and if he was smart, he would go to the outside. At 4 laps to go now, and Connor Mays, his lead is decreasing, but he is still out in front. And it's a matter of can the rest of the field get to him. This is his 6th race led this season, only for 14 laps, and obviously none of them have translated into a win. But he finds himself out in front on multiple occasions. This just might be the day where he's able to pull it off. We see from his back bumper, those cars are getting a little bit bigger, but they're not quite growing as fast as the laps are winding down. 3 laps to go now, and Alexander Rowe is really going to have to make a last-ditch effort to figure out something that's going to make his car faster, but unfortunately for him, it just seems like track position is dominant here. You see Lindsay trying to work a little bit higher, see if he can get a podium position. And Borland down on the inside now, and Mike Simpson might take advantage. And it looks like that's going to be the case, so Borland might be at risk of losing a spot. And Gilbert's right behind him. Simpson has the outside line advantage. That's going to be a spot loss for Borland if he doesn't hold it on in turns 3 and 4. And Gilbert looking to the outside as well. But he's going to stay in line with the 60. So a tight battle there for the next spot up. But here comes Connor Mays around to get the white flag. 2nd at Columbia, 2nd at Pigs Cliff. Obviously a contender at those super speedways, but he has top 5s at a variety of tracks. Got a 3rd place at Pig Speed Dome, a 4th place at Van Zandt, a 5th place at Knox. But at the 2 middle distance tracks we've been at, he hasn't registered a top 10. And right now he is pacing the field, looking for a ticket into the next round. He didn't have a victory entering this race, but coming through turns 3 and 4, he is going to leave here tonight with one. Connor Mays going to win here tonight at Nashville. What a strategy played out by the 84 team. They knew they had a fast car, but they had to do something different than the driver in front of them, and they pulled it off successfully. Mays headed the victory lane to claim a trophy as well as a ticket into the next round. He will be one of, at that time, 8 competitors competing for a championship. Looking at the results from tonight's race, Mays out in top. 2 top 5s in a row for Alexander Rowe, coming home with his career best finish of 2nd. TJ Smith gets his 1st top 5 in his career, and Colin Lindsay his 2nd this season. Craig Martin, the pole sitter, who looked like he had the best car in hand at the beginning of the race, he's going to come home with a 5th place finish. A solid run for a driver who just missed out on the playoffs. Mike Simpson able to take advantage of Shane Borland, making a little bit of a mistake late, and John Gilbert, the next playoff driver, down. So they will be 2 and 3 behind Connor Mays, who's out in front with his victory. Kyle Law is going to leapfrog from his 39th starting spot and get to 11th place after taking that off-pit strategy, and he is going to come out here with a big advantage. Chase Baldwin with a very impressive run compared to his recent results. Jacob Rose in 13th, Alonso in 14th, Donnie Moore, the next playoff driver, at 15th. Some disappointing days for drivers in the back half of the field like Rogers, Knox, and Harrison. Luckily for them, though, it seems like a lot of playoff drivers struggle here tonight, so all 3 of those guys are going to stay within the playoff picture. Jasper Rawls, the Truck Series points leader, gets the 22nd place finish, and Jesse McConnell, who won the race, gets 28th. Here are some drivers that are on the hot seat heading into our next race at NASCAR. Sparky the Sun Devil, Dwayne Calloway, Chris Harley, Eric Van Arsdale, all having some pretty poor pit stops that keep them way back here, and overall just did not have performances worthy of a victory tonight. and Joey Radcliffe will be the only driver to finish off the lead lap after incurring that pit penalty. So here's how the point standings will look. Shane Borland, John Gilbert, Kyle Law, all with at least 25 points ahead of the cut line, while Robert Harrison and Sparky the Sun Devil currently tied there. We will see how that shakes up as Dwayne Calloway and Chris Harley are just a couple of points within that underneath, and Kenny Knox only 3 points ahead on the other side. Looking at how the other standings shook up, and obviously when you have a great day, that's going to give you a little bit more of an advantage, and Craig Martin, being the first driver just outside of the playoff cut line, is going to extend his lead, if you want to call it a lead, at 13th spot over Anthony Lopez, who jumps up to 14th, and Ray Chapman, who was in 14th, drops all the way back to 19th as he loses a few spots on the day, and TJ Smith and Jason Bales, both with top 10 runs, they will get up there a little bit further in standings. We'll see a few gains from some of those drivers back in the grid that got top 5s today, like Colin Lindsay in 25th position, and Alexander Rowe jumps up to 28th after getting the runner-up. And in our last page of standings, Chase Baldwin unable to get out of the last position, as even though Justin Rodeback started in the last position, he actually gained quite a few spots and was only a few spots behind Baldwin at the end of the race, so doesn't quite leapfrog him, while Mike Simpson getting a top 10 day and Barry Watson not being anywhere in contention to make this race, he will extend his part-time points lead. Glancing at the team standings, Coco Racing is going to be glad about this one as they are able to jump over Ramco Motorsports with their victory, as Ramco's full-timer Sparky the Sun Devil and part-timer Clint McComb making the race, not quite able to make quite the splash that the 84 and 25 teams did today. And looking at the rides that the top Amateur Cup guys will run at the Elite Cup race at Toronto Lakeshore, and there's a little bit of a shake-up. Robert Harrison, you'll see, is in the 2 car that is typically run by Chris Harley, but Harley is way back in the standings, so he is going to be running the 13 car instead. A little bit of a shakeup for a driver that has typically been up there in the standings, and he is not going to have his preferred choice of car. And with Lopez getting the 14th spot in the standings, he is going to be making his first attempt at an Elite Cup race since Pikes Peak, where he qualified for the race and finished 20th. That is his first and only run in the Elite Cup Series. He did not qualify at Columbia. So a clean race here at Nashville, no incidents, but a wild shakeup at the end as the driver that had been leading the entire way, Craig Martin, got a little snookered on the pit strategy, and Connor Mays, the playoff driver, is able to claim his first victory and lock himself into the round of 8. Our next Amateur Cup event is at NASCAR, but our next event is going to be the Elite Cup race at Toronto Lakeshore for their second round of the playoffs. I'm Colin Denton for NFRN and RVN. We hope you enjoyed tonight's race, and we will see you all next time.